in this depositional zone of our stream, there's some reasonably large stones right here. They aren't by any means really all that large, but good size. And like when I've been digging this material out to put on our driveway, this is the type of stuff I don't want in our driveway. So we have another project filling in underneath a raised bed we're building, and we're okay with these larger stones, so we're trying to selectively choose the areas that have those larger stones because they aren't as good as other areas. So I scoop it up, and well, there aren't really all that many larger stones further down. Like, we have that top layer, and not to say there aren't larger stones, like I just found one here, but what we've generally been noticing is that they're kind of, and this is, I of course didn't know what was under here. This is maybe actually a little bit more than we've been seeing in other places of amount of material that is percentage large stones. But in general, once you get down further, there isn't as many large stones, which kind of on the surface seems somewhat odd because like water's coming down our stream, and this is an area where sediment's depositing, and like the sediment as it goes along, the bigger stuff will drop out first, and then the medium-sized stuff, then the smaller stuff, and then finally somewhere all the silts and clays might drop off. Some of those might end up all the way to the ocean, but eventually everything's going to drop off. It's just how far down is that going to be? Realistically, probably that isn't going to get to the ocean here. There's a big lakes between here and the ocean. But wouldn't you expect like all the relatively similar sized particles to be in that same area? Well, I don't think it's actually surprising that we're seeing these kind of larger stuff on the surface and not as frequent further down. Because this all came in a pretty dramatic flood, so a lot of material was coming down, and what I'm not seeing here is any of those fines. Anything that was suspended in the water, I think just continued to be suspended and got pushed further down. What I think I'm seeing here is where the bed load, the stuff that the water is pushing along the bed, and yeah, maybe some of the sand was suspended, but it was also probably somewhat bed load, I would hazard a guess at. And so that was getting pushed down, and this is an area where it can drop out. In this spot, just upstream of my filming location, the sediment deposited during the storm before eroding back down afterwards. You can see the striations in how it deposited, which are not horizontal, instead quite sloped with the direction of flow of the stream, right to left. My guess is that with the water suddenly encountering a slower spot, the bedload deposited maybe like a cornice before sloughing down the slope, though it may be some other exact mechanism. I've only briefly learned about this type of stuff. What is happening here is much more dynamic than slow settling out over a slowly changing set of velocities. Though I don't think the exact same mechanism was occurring in this photo as where I was filming, as this photo shows some more well-sorted material. And I think just because this was the first area it could slow down, kind of just all of that bed load just kind of dropped out here. So we get a nice mixed deposit of stuff, and so of different sizes, which shouldn't be surprising. Like a lot of gravel pits have this same sort of mixed deposit, and that comes from like eskers from glacial times. But why is there so much like more of that larger material on the surface? Well, this is the cobble bed armoring layer, and what that is so after the big flood, or maybe at the tail end, and with continued flow and just kind of smaller rain events afterwards, that's going to kind of wash away some of that smaller material until what remains, the larger material, kind of creates a bed armoring that it's not going to wash material. So there's enough of that larger material which isn't getting transported that it stays there as a nice, tough armoring layer. It's actually really important when you're thinking about stream work in areas that you're worried about erosion, which this is a depositional area. Erosion isn't a big concern here, is not disturbing that existing bed armoring layer, because if you disturb that, the stream can actually drop down a lot more until, I guess, it forms a new one. And if you don't want it to erode, that's definitely not a good thing. And so I just find it interesting seeing what I've kind of been told about in practice, and kind of understanding why that forms by seeing it in practice rather than just kind of being told that it exists, or at least my theory on why it forms.